Our final speaker, Christine Robinson, The Empty Chair. The Empty Chair, Christine Robinson.
We see, hear, and read almost every day the topic of addiction. We've seen those headlines. Rock star enters rehab, actress enters rehab, golf pro enters rehab, golf pro leaves rehab without his wedding ring. But whether the addiction is alcohol, drugs, sex, or cigarettes, the process of recovery remains the same. It requires taking certain steps, one of which is a process called making amends. And making amends, in this case, is an opportunity to take the harms of the past and bring them into present time for healing and for restitution. But if you're new to recovery, as I was 19 years ago, way back when, I still had the lingering notion that I only hurt myself in my addiction. After all, I was the one that crashed those cars. I was the one with the police sirens going off in the middle of the night. I was the one with the crazy hair and the crazy friends. And I was sure that any harms done could be handled with just a few casual apologies. And this was my thinking when I went to make my amends with my brother Andy, who stopped me halfway through and said, "While it's true, you hurt yourself in your addiction, but while you were out there hurting yourself, there was a consequence to our family, which was this: your empty chair. Your empty chair at our dining room table. That's what we got with every passing meal, morning, noon, and night. My empty chair. But it is the empty chair which symbolizes what ails our world today, as we now consider all the empty chairs in our lives. We don't need to be an alcoholic or a drug addict to have that empty chair story, right? Because as you and I know, it takes courage to assume our chairs at the table of life. It takes courage after we have been beaten and abandoned and absolutely destroyed at times by the life circumstances, haven't we? And after a while, we just stop caring altogether. We think someone else can take our place. Someone else can do the work. I don't need to show up. I don't really count. I don't matter. As we see exemplified over and over in those Toastmaster meetings, where the speaker doesn't show up, where the duty roster remains empty. Those empty, empty chairs. And I remember back at our district fall conference last November when I was your Toastmaster, thrilled to be your Toastmaster as I walked up on that stage, saw a host of friendly faces just like yours right now. But who should be sitting in the first 2 rows but my old Toastmasters club, half the membership? Anybody here got an old Toastmasters club you're not talking to right now? You got to say it that way too. Old Toastmasters club. Or anybody in your life that you're not talking to, and all of a sudden, boing, they show up right in front of you. Well, that's what happened to me. But I knew the power of making amends, and I knew restitution needed to be made. And I went to each and every one of those members and I cleaned up my side of the street. And each and every one of them met me more than halfway. Every one of them, but one. You knew this was coming. There's always that one that just isn't going to let you off the hook. Well, this one is upset, as he says in his best Scots brogue. Oh, and you should be sorry, Christine. You walked out on us, you left us with your empty chair at our Toastmasters meeting. Stayed empty, too, because no one speaks the way you do, and you know it. You walked out on us, we were down a man. You and your DTM, he says. Down a man. Well, it's interesting that we're in a military academy where down a man is an SOS for help. It means that we're losing the fight. We're losing the battle. It's an SOS for help, and that is the consequence when we don't show up. The empty chair. It was used symbolically by Mother Teresa as she would ask this one simple question to be answered successfully by those candidates who would follow her to tend the dying in Calcutta. One question: are there any empty chairs in your life? Her question is my question for us. Are there any empty chairs in our lives? Is there a father who needs to be contacted, a mother who needs to be consoled, a sister like me who needs to be brought home off the streets and back to that table of life? And could we be the ones who are big enough now to draw a line in the sand, cross it, and say, that was the past, it's the present that counts, and I'm not letting my past run my present? Call these people, write to them, reignite their appetites for life as you describe the table of life, full to overflowing, with room for us all. With room for us all. It's late, but not too late to fill the empty chair. Mr. Toastmaster.